Hello, everybody. Okay. Got everything set up. Let me let... I really need to check out some of the other... Okay. I think that was the shortest description I've ever written for my stream. Hey, Silva, how are you doing? Sleepy but good? Hey, Nabiru. Hello, 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 hello. How are you doing, Nabiru? Letting people know that the stream is live. There we go. Normal for the start of the week? Okay, that's good. Oh, whoop. Would help if I put on my backlights, that way my camera can actually see me. I hope normal for the start of the week means good, Nabiru. Did you ever finish your Chuni quiz? Oh, it's still being worked on? Well, I'm sure it's going to be great whenever you're done with it, Nabiru. Hold on. Okay, I just realized that was not the button I wanted. I just realized that there we go. That's what I wanted to move. I just realized on my... No, that was not what I wanted to click on either. Okay. What's your new idea, Nabiru? Okay, there we go. That was gonna bug me. I realized that my oh, that's better. Now I can see the whole thing. Yeah, I realized that my VTuber avatar on this screen was like floating a little bit above the bottom of the screen, and that's not what I want. That just breaks immersion. If anything, it should be sunk a little bit lower. You all should know that I only have the top half of me currently being on screen. But what's your other idea, Nabaru? Oh, the Cheers theme is so nice, and imagine how it looked with Konosuba. Konosuba, you say? That's funny. But yeah, that sounds really interesting. But why Konosuba? Is there a particular reason you're pairing Cheers and Konosuba? Like, now that I'm thinking about the Cheers theme, it's like everybody knows your name, and it's talking about having a place to go to where everybody knows you, and where you're always welcome. Because it's talking about Cheers the bar. So how does that, like, is it the timing? What is it that translates that to Konosuba, Nabaru? Quite a few things. Originally thought about it having it focused on darkness because, you know, that's not her real name. And at the end, everyone knows her name. Oh, because it's a place where everybody knows your name. I guess? I mean, I guess, because that's the whole thing. Isn't she like some kind of heiress or something? I've only seen bits and pieces of Konosuba. One of the main things I like about fantasy genre stuff is knights in big, thick, bulky armor. And the only knight character is Darkness, and she doesn't really wear armor as much as she's just constantly like throwing her body in the way of things, which is kind of impressive, but like also kind of creepy. They all call Megaman crazy exploity girl. There's the useless goddess, the destitute shopkidder, AK wizard, Kazu trash. Yeah, and isn't he just kind of cringy? Yeah, it is. Yeah, I guess, but I mean, it's this weird thing where like I can say it's cringy. Also, give me 1 second. Hold on. Testing. Okay, just making sure my mic was connected. So the way I test to know. Hello, Jose. Hello, CeeLo. Coming for a conversation in another's VTuber stream, I had a thought on Isekai genre and how a lot of them can be thought as a metaphor for coming to adolescence and childhood. That's also true. A lot of Isekai can be coming of age stories, and they can make for very interesting escapist fantasy. And yeah, that's a very good observation about that. It's interesting. I forget. Did you prefer to go by CeeLo or Jose? But yeah, Isekai. So some Isekai does frustrate me because it is very much this power fantasy, and it feels like almost at the expense of the story. But then also sometimes I have to accept that like I'm probably not the target audience. Like, I mean, there's the obvious answer that I am not I am a Westerner, so I am obviously not the target audience of most anime. But I mean, like with my age group, I'm not the young kid who's dreaming. You know, I'm the adult who's seen some stuff and has to deal with a lot of reality. It just sort of clicked comparing my recent experience with what happens in stories, moving to a new place, disconnecting from family, old friendships, having to face situations you were not. Uh-huh. Yeah. And I guess in a way, moving is kind of like an isekai, or like actually, I think that's represented in a lot of slice of life, isn't it? Like being, like, isn't that hold on 1 second. I will be right back. Sorry about that. My roommate needed me for just a moment. But yeah, Nabiru, you'd probably know this better because you know more about anime, but isn't it a common trope for the main character in having to face situations you are not prepared for? Konosuba ReZero do this. The protagonist is woefully unprepared for the harsh new world. Their preconceptions and meta knowledge about it end up backfiring, and they must learn from their mistakes. Hey, it's okay. It's okay, Jose. And but isn't it a common trope for some slice of life anime for the main character to be like the new transfer student? Yeah. But I do like that point you make, Jose, about like it being cool. Like that's a cool idea that like having this meta knowledge of like, well, I know how this is supposed to go, and having that backfiring on them. It's an interesting way to do. I think I'm using this word properly, to lampshade something where you preemptively address what you think is going to be an audience argument of, well, everyone should know this. Well, they do know it, they do try it, but it doesn't work. Really obvious and usually makes it easier to insert yourself into the role. Yeah, that makes sense, Nabiru. Some slice of life are just friends hang out, no real plot, no enemy, usually defined as cute girls doing cute things in many cases. Yeah. Didn't K-On kind of cross over between that? Because wasn't the main character in K-On a new girl, but it was also always about cute girls doing cute things? It's been so long since I watched K-On, and I never even finished it. And that's like that was when I knew that slice of life anime wasn't really for me, because I wanted to like K-On. I really wanted to like K-On. I've heard the music from some of the stuff, and I love music, and it being an anime about music. Um, like just knowing it was an anime about music and how much I love music, I really I was at a phase in my life where I was like taking voice lessons. I was dreaming of like professional musician stuff. Um, because I grew up in music and theater and a little bit of musical theater. Um, but mostly music. Never heard of Comic Party or Genshiken, but I've obviously heard of Lucky Star. I've seen the memes of people doing the Lucky Star dance. But yeah, like I really wanted to like K-On, but I just couldn't get into it. I think that's a lot of why I gravitated so much to Macross, because Macross is a franchise, especially like the later seasons, like Macross Frontier or Macross Delta, where Yes, that's true, Jose. Uh, Comic Party and Genshin can focus on a group of otakus building gunpla and making comics, cosplaying, going to conventions. That sounds interesting. Are those two different anime? Because like you didn't like is one about a group building gunpla and another one about going to cosplay stuff? Oh, so they're different, but they're very similar. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Comic Party uses anime style characters, you know, typical good looking, quirky people. Yeah, makes sense. Genshiken is more real with their designs. Oh, that's interesting. Is like a more photorealistic kind of uncanny valley style thing, Nabiru? Like the people you would actually see at a convention. Oh, that's interesting. That makes sense. That sounds really interesting. Hmm. But yeah, I need my like for me to really get into a show, there has to be some kind of a thing, a hook, a thing going on that like I really need to get drawn into. Where the main character's best friend goes full Gurren Kamina but in a weird way. Okay, that's interesting, Nabiru. Like there's this like there has to be some kind of a hook for me, some kind of a thing going on to draw me in. And like Silva tried to show me Classroom of the Elite, but like it just made me angry. Yeah. Like I'm sure Classroom of the Elite makes a great novel, but I was not impressed with with what I saw of the anime, and I was like not drawn in at all. It was a battle school anime without the battle. You have a strong will. I gave Silva like one. I think did we? I don't remember if we did 2 episodes, but I know I gave Silva at least one episode that I would watch. And like whenever I tried to mention any criticism of it, Silva just went full um whenever I mentioned any criticism of Classroom of the Elite, Silva just went full hardcore fanboy and was like not hearing anything I was saying. And so I just realized, you know what? Silva likes it. I don't. We're just gonna have to agree to disagree on it. I haven't watched K-On, but heard the manga was described as pretty average with the production quality of K-On anime. Kaio Annie carrying the anime, but the story is not that investing. yeah, that was a lot of the problem I had with K-On. Um, yeah, for its time, it was really popular. It was really popular, and it was like the anime for a few. Like, I remember feeling like it was an anime for people who liked music because that's what it was about. Um, and I tried to get invested, uh, but it just wasn't happening. Yes, that's actually a really good description there, Nabiru. That, like, a lot of anime can be described as iconic because they're what people think of. They're the stereotypical or like the prototypical thing, but that doesn't make them the best. And a lot of times, the most iconic anime were not the best. But if you ever tell any of the hardcore fans of that anime that their anime isn't the best in whatever category that it's in, a lot of times it's like swatting a bee's nest with a baseball bat. And it is kind of impressive to see people so passionate about something that they're willing to defend it till their dying breath. There's something impressive about that. Yeah. So, what's everybody's hopes for this week? What's everyone's plans or goals or dreams for this coming week? Anybody got any projects? Are you hoping to finish up your projects you're working on? The what were you saying? The Konosuba Cheers thing, Nabiru? You think you'll be finishing that up this week or working on it at least? Uploading is always a challenge, like especially if you don't have the best internet. I know that I have been very lucky that like I went from one place with a really great internet because there were people working from home to another house with really great internet because the children are always streaming things in the house. It's really funny. So like I've been very fortunate to have very very fast and very powerful internet. Well, and there's something powerful about that, Nabiru, having a project that's yours, that's specifically yours. It's no one else's. It's a project you made for you. So what kind of projects are you sitting at? Like, what kind of projects have you completed that you're keeping to yourself? Kill la Kill AMV made, a fairy tale one, almost finished a couple quizzes. Ooh, that's exciting, Nabaru. But who knows if I'll upload them, because once I finish something, I may not like it and decide to delete it. That's true. Have I dragon maid? That's an odd question. I do not have a dragon maid. I don't have any kind of maid or any kind of dragon. But it makes for funny content, Nabaru. It really does. Have I seen Dragon Maid? I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've seen clips and scenes. I've seen memes. I don't think I've ever. I think I watched like most of the first episode. Like, so I don't want to get emotionally invested in Dragon Maid because I know it's just going to aggravate me for the same reason I can't get into Spy Family, right? There's a gag that's the joke and the crux of the show, and I just want the... Oh, okay, Nabiru. The Happy Days theme to Dragon Maid? That sounds funny. I don't remember the Happy Days theme, but that just sounds like a funny combination. Like, I think I'd have the same problem with Dragon Maid that I have with Spy Family, which is there's this gag, this joke that's at the center of the story, and I think it's funny for a while, but I want the joke to be over and the actual serious story to start. But there's not going to be a serious drama-filled story because it's not that kind of show. And I'm not saying that like there's anything wrong with that. There's all different kinds of anime. It's just that not every kind of anime is for me. Not every kind of anime is like, not all anime is for everybody. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to get invested in a show that is based around the gag because I'm just going to be spending all my time waiting for the gag to be over. Like, I watched, what was it? Mother's Basement did a video about how powerful gag anime were, and it really opened my eyes to how a lot of the older classic animes that were genre defining were gag animes. And as Mother's Basement put it, the drama and the intense stories that we have come to know, they started in a lot of ways in Dragon Ball, and he described them as gags that Toriyama took way, way too seriously. And that's another way to view it. But like, you don't walk in. Yeah. And after you know that element's in the story, you just don't bother with it. And like, some people want to enjoy it. That's fine. That's on them. That's their prerogative. You don't like hunt down or witch hunt people who enjoy it. You just say it's not for me. You know? So, I did something super cringe. I did something super cringe earlier. Um, and I figured I'd talk about it. I'd share about it. So there is this VTuber. Um, Metal Knight Gold. Yes, yes. This VTuber, Metal Knight Gold Guardian, who's like essentially a living super robot, right? That's their shtick. They have this amazing model. I have not had a chance to catch them live, but like he's got this amazingly detailed giant robot model. And when I've seen of his content, like his lore video and his intro, his opening music number and stuff is just like inspirational. And for me as a giant robot fan, I just kind of was geeking out over his stuff. And so I've been like I followed him on Twitter, you know, as you do, and he made a comment and I just said something and then he responded, right? He was just talking about how like apparently I guess he got drunk or something last night, and I was like, "Yo, you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." He just said, "Yeah, ooh woo," and put a really cute picture after it. And then I responded with, "I'm glad, boss. Can I call you boss?" I just said, "I'm glad, boss. Can I call you boss? I haven't caught you live, but your model and your content inspires me." And like, that's not my normal kind of cringe. That's like that parasocial kind of cringe. Uh, anyway, it's about 9 o'clock, so let's. Yes, cringe is good at times and best when it happens to others and not yourself. Yes, that is very true, Nabiru. That is very, very true. Cringe is always funnier whenever it's not you. Alright, well, it's a little bit past 9, so I think we need to get down to the actual writing of the writing stream. Okay. So, my word count has been updated because I have been writing consistently since then. Since the last writing stream, which was over... I think it was over a week ago, I'd say, since my last writing stream. Yeah. Not quite 2 weeks, more like a week and a half. My current word count is 26,618. Put that up here. All right, so let's get into what has been happening in this story. Since last time I was here, I've had a week of writing, so a bunch of stuff has happened. When we last left, when we were last dealing with this, Hazel was trying to plan out this protest, because he was trying to start with a peaceful protest because the demands of the Umbrella Rebellion had not been heeded to or responded to in any way, shape, or form. We still haven't clearly stated those demands in the story. I know what they are, but I have to find a way to naturally insert them without just being like, here's a picture of our demands. I'll probably put it in someone's speech later. And there's been this thing where you've been seeing this development where Hazel has been stepping into his leadership position and starting to work to facilitate. And one of the best things a good leader does is ask his people, what do you need? How can I help you? How can I facilitate what you need? And that's one thing that Hazel, I want Hazel to do as being this strong leader, is working on finding out what he can do to empower the people under him in order to help them do their job more effectively, and to pull resources from each other, to the point where it's not so much Hazel making these decisions as much as Hazel acting on the direction and decisions on everyone else, which has me kind of worried that, like, having Hazel be the one to come up with the idea of the protest might have been a bit heavy on this, because this is like Hazel's idea, but then they all agree on it. But I wanted that to be a sign of Hazel, like, taking his first stab at leadership. So then this becomes like Hazel's baby, where he is going between these other people, learning things, learning more about the world, learning more about the government, which becomes a way for me to explain to the reader more things and lore and bits of information that are necessary to make the story go. And then I have this not altercation, but this conversation between Hazel and Fern, and where Fern starts to realize that this isn't going to stop with peaceful protests. Fern was hearing when Fern was helping with transportation and stuff to some of the trainings, she was hearing from some of the other people that she was transporting that they're talking about how it's only a matter of time till violence breaks out, till killing starts happening, and till blood starts getting shed. And Fern, that makes Fern take a pause, and so she has this conversation with Hazel, in which she's like, are you okay with this? Like, are you really willing to kill people, to authorize the killing of people, or kill them yourself, to do that for your cause? And Hazel at this point is so far gone that like he's just like, yeah, that's a reality of the situation. Um, and Fern's like, I need time to know how I feel about that and whether, and like, you know, our whole lives, it's always been you in first and me in second. It's always been the two of us, whatever you accomplish, I do right after. But this is a path I don't know if I want to follow you on because I wanted to show, like, up until this point, Fern has been really gung ho, but I wanted to show there being some line where Fern stops and says, "Hold on, I have concerns," because I felt like it would make Fern too flimsy of a character if she just went skipping along the pathway straight to hell. So, that's why I wanted to have this. And but Hazel is so committed to his cause because he's like, if we don't do this, humanity goes extinct. So, if we, it's willing to do whatever it takes. And then I wanted to express some of this coldness and this resoluteness that Hazel's experienced, but I didn't want to go into internal monologue. So after that, I had you come over and talk to Hazel because this conversation happened at the Fakes coffee shop. So you works there, so it makes sense for you to be there and see this conversation happen. And that's where, like, Hazel expresses in a very cold and clinical manner that, like, while Fern is a powerful resource, a very capable individual to count on, if Fern doesn't work with them, everything Fern can do, they can eventually find someone who can do as well. It's not going to tear up his plans to have his most trusted person break away from him. And this also sets up this juxtaposition where you'll see later in the next chapter where when Grief Stormblood is confronted with the possibility of being betrayed. Grief Stormblood's the air pirate. And when she's confronted with the possibility of being not betrayed, but being abandoned by her closest friend and advisor, Phlox, her first mate, she has a complete breakdown. She has a complete and utter mental and emotional breakdown where she's just like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? This was your idea. You can't do this. She goes through all of these stages of grief because she has become so attached to people. And that shows this thing where, because the reader knows that grief used to be the revolutionary, and this activity and this change in Hazel is attributed to reading the revolutionary's journal, it's trying to set up this idea that coldness, that being willing to succeed no matter who you had to cut off, no matter always having a plan for success and never counting on anyone, always being prepared to be abandoned by everyone. That's where grief started. And this is where grief has become, where she's become a person who cares so much about her people. She values her people more than she values the rest of humanity. She values these deep friendships so that much it hurts. Like, she'd be willing to lose almost everyone else except Phlox. It would hurt, but she would be willing to lose everyone else except her first mate. And yeah, that was kind of unintentional, but I really like how that came together. And I also realized that, like, Hazel isn't going to be at the protest, so I'm not going to have the protest happen on screen, which saves me from doing a bunch of research about how protests really work, because I've never actually been to one. Because I can hand wave away, because Hazel's not there. So if one of the two main characters isn't there, I'm not going to write it. Like, I might write references to it. But yeah, I'm not going to write it. So then after Hazel has this conversation with you, and they talk about what they're expecting for the first response. They're expecting a slow response, but they're expecting a response. They're expecting the first few hours to come with some confusion, but once they realize they won't move, they're expecting the governmental forces to deploy and start physically trying to drag the people away, might even deploy smoke pods to clear us out. Things get too hectic, our people will pull out, we want the government. You miss going on protest, CeeLo? What's it like? And when you confront Hazel about the possibility that some of the people who go to the protest are going to get arrested and they're going to lose some numbers, Hazel says, well, we're expecting to have some news coverage. We're hoping that as we get news coverage and as word about this spreads, as people start seeing what we're doing, we could start getting enough recruits to fill the spots of the people that we're going to be losing to getting arrested or taken at the protests. That's the idea that Hazel is expressing, which is a very cold way of thinking about it, but it's a way of thinking about it. So that's what Hazel's expecting. And spoiler alert, that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen off screen is that while there is a slow response, so what they're doing is in this story, what they're so in this world, there's a central government that's run by a ruling council that's made up of the 7 largest businesses of Rosicrucius, which is their governmental party, and that ruling council of 7 businesses answers to a civil oversight committee made up of 75 representatives from across the supercontinent, from across humanity. But the civil oversight committee, while they do technically have ultimate power to supersede or to veto anything that the government does, they have the power to veto anything. They aren't executing that power whatsoever. So what they're going to do for the protest is they're going to situate themselves on 2016 anti-corruption protest in Brazil, mostly peaceful, but it was interesting that you could see there was a unifying sense of revolt and things need to change, but not on what to do. That's interesting. That's interesting, Jose. So what these protesters are going to do in the story is they're going to situate themselves on the steps to the Civil Oversight Committee hall to block all the Civil Oversight Committee representatives from being able to get in the front door. Gonna be just making a human barricade. And they're gonna try to get news coverage and all that other stuff. But what's going to happen, again, off screen, is that while there is confusion at first, um, the governmental forces will swoop in and then just open fire on the protesters, causing the protesters to scatter. A decent number of their forces will be injured or killed, and a big bulk of the rest of them are going to get arrested. The reporter is going to have the story stamped out, so it's not going to go out to the masses the way that they want, and everyone's going to be, because they don't have a unified escape plan, they're going to get crisscrossed on their way trying to get away from the area, and some people are going to like be injured and lost, and it's going to be a real big mess. And that's going to be this thing that catapults their rebellion from being this thing trying to take a largely peaceful approach to having to take a violent approach because of the escalation. Because I had to think about it, and I was like, okay, in this essentially fascist regime, right, that's happening in this story, why wouldn't the police just open fire? What if they can exert control over the media, or if they can take out the reporters so that way no one reports on it, or if they can spin it however they want, what stops them? And that had to make me pause, because I realized that would be a point of escalation, and that would get to some of the things that I know from other sources of fiction. Like, we always see things about like Star Wars with the rebels executing raids and runs on Imperial bases, and that kind of stuff that I feel a bit more comfortable writing, because I don't know, it feels more fantastical to me. Like when I'm writing something that feels really close to reality, or close to something that could happen, I feel this kind of almost obligation that I want to do the research and write it as accurate as I can. But whenever I get into something that I believe is more admittedly fantastical, like raiding government facilities on airships made of plants, I feel a little bit more freedom to take a lot of leeway with how I write those scenes. Anyway, so then we jump over and we jump forward a couple weeks. So you don't at the end of the last chapter, it talks about there being like this protest is going to be happening within the next few days, and the next inside the next week, right? Yeah. So they're planning to have it inside the next week, and they're talking about their training in order to have people train for what to do in the face of police response. And so when we last left Grief Stormblood, she'd found out that she was being pursued by Rosicrucius. Rosicrucius wanted her to help them in stopping the resistance. And they were calling in their favor because they were saying if she didn't help them, they would reveal to the world that she was the revolutionary, and as such, she was the one primarily responsible for Rosicrucius ever even getting into power. And in doing so, a lot of the people who hate the current government would then start seeking her out in order to get revenge, and some of her own crew might even turn against her. But she said she doesn't want to help either side of this conflict, because if she helps the rebels, then that means that she is continuing the existence of humanity, which she deems as being as stagnating and being not worth saving. And if she helps the government has at that point just stated that they're going to only kill off 90% of humanity. They're going to save 10% of humanity and then rebuild the world in their own image with the remaining 10% of humanity with a fresh start. And she doesn't want to be a part of that because in her eyes, that's just going to lead to more cyclical stagnation in which things just all go in a circle and nothing new is developed. It's just going to be more of the same, except even bigger and broader because now there'll be more space to expand. And in this chapter, we find out what her third option is. She told her first, because Phlox, her first mate, said, what if we get some other angle? What if we pretend to agree to help the government in order to stop them from releasing your secret, but we actually have some other angle, some other thing that we're working, some other plan. And she said, and Grief just says, hey, you find that plan, and if it's something I like, I'll sign off on it. I'll go for it. But I'm gonna make it your responsibility to find that plan. So then yeah, there's a lot of effed up stuff in the story. I will admit there's a lot of, it gets kind of dark. And so she says, if you find a plan of how to play the government in order to play their game but have us win, I'll go for it. Thank you, Nabaru. I think it makes sense. And then in this chapter, her first mate introduces her to a researcher named Catmint, or Cat for short, and he talks about this theory he has that he can create an organism that will be guaranteed to start an evolutionary chain, that it will be guaranteed to develop a certain way, reproduce a certain way, and that it will be guaranteed that it will, if developed and released into the wild, it will within the next million years or so, within the next few million years, or even 100 million years, it will guarantee the evolution of a specific type of organism. And this, and at first, right? At first, Grief is just like, okay, that's cool. What's this have to do with me? Why is this? Why am I here? What's going on? What does this have to do with anything? And then the other shoe drops that this guy is planning to make this thing in order to guarantee that humanity can evolve again in a few million years. He says million years, it ends up being 100 million years, but you know, whatever. And as soon as he says that he's trying to guarantee the re-emergence of humanity, the light bulb switches on for Grief, right? And she's like, you can guarantee humanity a second chance. And then it comes out that he said he'd originally tried to pitch his research to Rosicrucius whenever they announced their plan for the extermination of humanity. And then they announced the second part of their plan, that they were going to let 10% of humanity survive. And he said he wanted his plan, he wanted his research to be put into place and this organism to be produced and released as a failsafe in case all of their bunkers destroyed or they experience some kind of catastrophic loss as a result of the bomb going off that led to the eventual extinction of humanity. So that way they could guarantee that humanity would come back again. And even makes a reference that most of their technology would break down and fossilize. Yes, because life finds a way. But what's it called? Colony loss or something? Whenever you lose so many people that you lose the people that have the required knowledge and experience and training in order to perform necessary functions for the survival of the whole, and then an entire group of people just goes extinct because they don't have a way to produce necessary goods and services. They don't have a way to produce the food and the shelter and the clothing and the things they need to survive. Like, that can happen, especially with the government playing favorites with their spots in the bunkers. You may have a lot of rich folk or people with connections guaranteeing those spots, but who may not have the actual survival skills that are going to be needed to rebuild society afterwards. And so at this point, Reef is completely on board, and she tells Kat, she's like, listen, you're all right with me. I'm gonna fully support you in whatever in your project, in the development of your project, and get you the resources, the money, the equipment, whatever you need. And she's like, Phlox, get a list. We'll start getting stuff. And Phlox is like, already got the list, already got it. And so then they leave. Well, first the guy's like, well, I mean, yeah, but it's a failsafe, right? And she's like, no, you're gonna save humanity. You're gonna completely save humanity. And he's like, well, I mean, how do you know that it's gonna be me that saves humanity? And she's like, just don't ask questions. Something like that. And then on the way back to the ship, they're walking back to the ship because there wasn't a place for them to park right next to. I put the wrong 2 there. There we go. And Phlox starts asking as they're walking, you know, some of the men aren't going to be on board because this is going to mean the eventual end of our people. Like, this is a big ask. And she's like, hey, we've recruited before, we'll recruit again. If we have to go recruiting an entirely new crew, we will. Anyone who doesn't agree with me is free to leave. They're free to leave and leave Damus. If all of Damus turns its back on us, I know we can take it. And she just keeps saying this us, like the 2 of us. And then Phlox says, what if I don't agree with this? And that's when Grief realizes Phlox is expressing that he might not be there, he might not be supporting her. And that's when she has that breakdown that I mentioned before, where she just, the thought of going without her best friend, her first mate, her closest friend and ally, the thought of losing that person and not having that person by her side is so emotionally traumatizing that she just has a breakdown. And this reflects as which I actually didn't think about when I was writing it, but now that I'm thinking about it now, it makes perfect sense. But it reflects as a complete polar opposite response to when Fern said to Hazel that she wasn't going to be, that she wasn't sure if she was ready to go. Where Hazel responded with this cold and calculating thing. Grief, her entire facade of being cold and calculating fell away. Now, one thing that does kind of bug me about this scene is that, like, they're in this random street, this random back alley that they're walking to get back to where they parked their ship. And, like, she's having a full-on, like, emotional breakdown. And in some ways, because of what he's saying, you see that Phlox is kind of gaslighting her to also represent this kind of toxic relationship between the two of them, where Phlox is so dedicated to pushing her to be all that she can be that he's not, like, really thinking about her feelings as much as he's just caring about her capabilities. And that's a really big thing. Let me just make something in my notes. So yeah, that's what I've written. That's what I've written since last stream. So now we have to see what goes next. If I want to continue this. I'm probably going to have them stop to look at a newspaper. Because I want to reveal what happened at the protest. I want that to be a thing that gets revealed here. So now that she's like going, I know I said it wasn't too far away, but like they've been walking, they had this scene, then they're gonna have this scene at the newsstand. I'm not sure. Do I do a newsstand scene, because they do have radio communication, right? They have internet. Up until this point, the news they saw was being transmitted via newspaper, so I could do a newsstand scene just for the retro feel of it, right? But in some way, I want to communicate I want to communicate the resolution of what happened at the protest, or at least give an inkling of what happens, but it gets expanded upon the next time we go to one of Hazel's chapters. So that's where I'm kind of stuck with it. Do I, not really stuck isn't the right word. I just have to make a decision. Do I have her stop at a newsstand on the way back to the ship? Or do I have one of the people on board the ship give her a news report of what happened? Because this all took place a couple of weeks later. Or I could have Phlox have them meet with another rebel representative in order to discuss what the rebels are after to see if they could play both sides. I could do that. I could do the play both sides in order to more develop her thoughts on the rebels and why she won't help them. So I could do that. Is trench coat one word? Trench coat's a word. Why is my... Or is it... It is 2 words. Oh my gosh. Okay. What did I call it? What did I call it? Umbrella Umbrella Rebellion. I realize I've only mentioned that the actual name of the rebellion is the Umbrella Rebellion once. But like, how often do people in an organization say the name of that organization? Like, how do I insert it on there without it being overt? Because I want the reader to know what I'm talking about. Like, also, I got the name The Umbrella Rebellion off of a random name generator. And I don't know how to feel about it. Like, it fits the description because it's an umbrella organization that's made up of multiple smaller organizations. So it is the umbrella, but also figuratively that it's the umbrella seeking to protect humanity from an out-of-control government, from the reign of destruction caused by an out-of-control government. So it all works, but I can't help thinking of Resident Evil. Except in this one, the Umbrella are technically the good guys. The Umbrella Rebellion. I guess. I also... Yeah. So here's the thing about the acronym. Do I put the in the acronym? Do I put the in the acronym? Because it could be TER for the Umbrella Rebellion. That... all right, Nabiru. Okay. The Umbrella Rebellion, you need to give me something that starts with a D to go in that last slot. If we're going to call this turd, you need to give me something that starts with a D. The Umbrella Rebellion, what? What is going to go on the end there that starts with a D? I'm not saying no to the answer. I'm not saying no to calling it turd, because that's funny and it's fitting because of how their coffee is developed. Just 1 second. Just had to simp real fast. Okay. I'm sure you'll come up with something, Nabiru, but and when you do, I'll go back and I'll change it. I'll edit it all. Okay. So this guy with a trench coat and a wide-brimmed hat and shades has stopped them and is trying to get them to agree to a meeting with the leaders of the Umbrella Rebellion, or Turd. The name Turd still notwithstanding. If it's too much trouble, don't worry about it, Nabiru. I just thought it would be interesting. Or if you said something that was bad so the auto mod caught it, I'm not on the screen where I can keep track of what you said. Okay. What'd you think of Nabiru? I'm listening. As long as it's not like a sex euphemism. I'm not saying I'll do it, but I will listen. Oh, come on. You can't tease me like that, Nabiru. Gotta share it. Umbrella Rebellion Daredevils. Ooh. Drastic design doesn't. Drastic design doesn't quite suit my needs. There are only a few. Yeah. It's okay, Nabaru. It was still a good effort. Umbrella Rebellion Daredevils. That might work as like a name of their special unit. I'm gonna write that down. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You got me thinking. You've got me thinking. You've got me thinking. Hold on. Hmm. So I made a note of that. Turd. I don't know if I'm going to use 1D, if I'm going to count Daredevils as 1D or 2D, because it's like Daredevils is like, it's two words, but they're stuck together. So I can either do turd, T-U-R-D-D, or T-U-R-D. Both work. And we're going to say that that's the name of a special unit of the Umbrella Rebellion that focuses on directly attacking government bases. So that's going to become a primary front and center unit in the next part of the story. Actually, oh, this might work in this part of the story. This might work right here, but I have to decide. What do you think, Nabaru? Do I do 2Ds for Daredevils or 1D? Now we're no, we are embracing the cringe. This entire name is embracing the cringe. So what I'm gonna say here is because Grief is giving this dude a chance to do his elevator pitch, right? So this dude is gonna do an elevator pitch where he's gonna say, "Listen, you've resisted the government. You have these contacts and resources. You have a massive ship. You could get together a fleet working behind you, combined with our resources and if we exchanged information and work together, we believe you could lead our new special unit that we are putting together called Turd, the Umbrella Rebellion, Daredevils, and uh, we think you're the perfect person to lead this special unit uh, in direct action against government facilities, because our attempt at a peaceful protest was met with violence, and that's how we're going to reveal what happened at the protest. That uh, they tried a peaceful protest, but it was met with violence. That's how it's going to be revealed to the viewer, to the reader. But no, we're going all in here, because names, like code names, can be goofy. And also sometimes you just gotta laugh. And not gonna lie, if I was given the chance to join some like underground rebellion with a goofy name like Turd, I think I would do it just for the lulz. I mean, am I wrong, Nabiru? Like, come on, tell me you wouldn't join something with a cringy, goofy, and self-aware name. Okay, calling them umbrella turds is actually so like repetitive, it's hilarious. Tell me you wouldn't join some kind of rebellious group, some kind of special forces rebellious group that was named Turd. Tell me you wouldn't join if they had some kind of a goofy catchphrase. Like, that is such a morale booster. Yeah, we're doing 1D because Daredevil is one word. Wait, wait, wait. Nabiru, Nabiru. Do you remember when we did those randomly generated quotes? Do you remember when we did those randomly generated quotes? Nabiru, do you remember when we did those randomly generated quotes that that Hazel would find inside the journal? Without duties, there can be no sacrifice. That can be their catchphrase. And it's an inside joke. It's all coming around. It's all coming around. Nabaru, it's genius. What do you think, Nabaru? Is it genius? Is this the mad genius cackling in power? There we go. All right, so we know what's happening next. Oh, this can be where I talk about what their demands are. Yeah, this can be a nice little info dump. This can be a nice little info dump. Oh no. Oh, did you wake Silva up? Silva said something about being tired and probably going to bed early. Yes, Silva called us a dork. We're dorks with a single brain cell that we share between us. Right, Nabiru? I mean, I think some VTubers have more than a single brain cell that they share. Share a brain cell with chat. That makes sense. A single brain cell that's shared between the VTuber and chat. I'd like to think I demonstrate more than one brain cell, but sometimes when it comes to being cringy, I just embrace it. All right, first off, I'm gonna say it, but the word committee is really bizarre. It's got two M's, two T's, and two E's. Like, come on now. Tell me that's not a weird word. Like, I know I write it a lot because there's an element in my story called the Civil Oversight Committee, but that word is just really bizarre. Yes. Though, one thing I keep running into, right? So, Civil Oversight Committee is the proper name of an organization. So does that mean every time I reference them, I have to capitalize it every single time? Like, I don't know. That feels kind of excessive, but also I don't know if there's some rule or something about when I'm allowed to like not capitalize a name of an organization. Panini? Yes, that is a fun word. Bagel? Bagel panini? Yes. I mean, I say bagel, but bagel's funny. Yeah, that reminds me of the Mel seed. Oh my gosh. If you put sauce or pepperoni on it, is it a panini pizza? No, it's taking root in you. It's taking root. They're getting inside your head. That's not even the first demand. I wrote the second demand first. I misspelled that. Hmm. Okay. Okay. So here so the guy has tried to like give his speech. Gave me a chance in order to actually put down in the actual novel what their demands are, and then talk about that they're putting together a special team. I was thinking kind of like an Avengers style recruitment pitch, right? And how do you spell amateur? There we go. I figured it out. Give me 1 second. Let me. Sorry, I accidentally pressed the button that booted up the thing that lets me know what the temperature is on my computer, and I went to close it. And then when I went to close it, it showed me that like my CPU was like pushing 70 and like 73 degrees Celsius. And I'm like, what in the world? And like normally I have fan boost at max, and I had fan boost at max for a long time, where it's just my fans were operating at full capacity, right? But I turned it down because I was like, I'm not really doing any heavy gaming, so I don't want to burn out my fans. But now I'm like, why is it at almost 70 degrees Celsius? It's not even under load. I'm not even doing anything. OBS says my CPU is using less than 6% of its processing power. Oh my gosh. This computer has such terrible heating. Well, now the temperatures are going down. Okay. Sorry, that was kind of an aside, but like, it's probably, I guess I'm just gonna have to leave fans all the way, always at max, I guess. It's also really weird. Different computers have different ways. I have a button for it on my laptop that opens this menu that allows me to manage a lot of the things with the settings and the memory and stuff. It's like a gamer menu, and it's right next to my backspace. So sometimes when I go to press backspace, I'll press that accidentally and open it up. But it's very handy, and honestly, I'm gonna miss it on the new computer. Like being able to keep track of temps and stuff is really is going to be important for like gaming and stuff. Yes, Nabiru, sounds cool. How do you spell comrade? Oh, there's an E. Yeah, sometimes it's just an S and sometimes it's an ES. It can be annoying. If I remember properly, it's there's some well, comrade ends in an E, and I didn't know that it ended in an E. That's what it was. It wasn't the ES thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this is where um this is where Grief is explaining to Phlox why what the rebels are doing won't work. And she points out this thing that like they're trying to force the system to completely rewrite itself from the inside while preserving most of the system. Not most of the system, I'll say most of the structure. To rewrite itself from the inside. Even if their demands are met, the council will wheel and deal to get members of the Civil Oversight Committee in their pockets in order to ensure their will continues to be enforced. As long as Roger Crucius continues to fund the creation of Miraculum with publicly collected taxes and then sell it to private businesses, nothing will change. And so here she's pointing out that until they actually get Miraculum in the hands of people, so then people are would then no longer be beholden to the government. It will be beholden to the if they could get Miraculum in the genetically modified seeds that the businesses use back into the hands of the people, then the people would no longer be beholden to all of the government, all of the organizations that are manipulating them, all of the corporations. And the entire system would upend itself. So this is a funny line here, right? Where Phlox comments that would just return things to how they were before the revolution. And then Grief says mostly maybe they would do a couple things differently, but it wouldn't be enough to matter. It wasn't worth trying to convince a bunch of highly motivated zealots that their entire way of thinking is wrong. This is funny because Grief is also a highly motivated, well, a motivated zealot, except Grief's belief is that humanity needs to end. Okay. Yes. And it's kind of like one of those things where it takes one to know one. Where like it takes a zealot to know a zealot, and but exactly. And the point that Grief is making here is that until they see essentially seize the means of production, they won't actually change anything. The people with power will remain the people with power. The people without power will remain the people without power. And that's one of the key elements here, is that Hazel and company are so devoted and motivated, and they so believe that their things will change, but in reality, even if all of their demands are met, it wouldn't actually change anything. It would introduce politics back into the world, because there'd be people highly trained in politics and able to interact with the government, but the government would still would be able to wheel and deal, to bribe and manipulate, and get people in their pockets. Then it becomes which businesses are going to be competing to get control of which members, which representatives, because the representatives are going to change every once in a while. Like the veneer of it changes, but like the actual substance of the problem, of the systemic problem, where one group has access to this powerful resource that they are hoarding for their own gain, and another group doesn't. And also, since the government, since Rosicrucius is funding the creation of Miraculum with publicly collected taxes, the people are paying for its creation. So the people are essentially paying out the nose to pay the government. And the government is providing minimal services in return. Anyway, let's see how many words we got today. Hey, we got 1,047 words. That is pretty groovy. That is really groovy. Thank you. I'll see if I feel like I'm improving whenever it comes down. I'll see if it still feels like improving whenever I have to go back for my second round edits. All right. We broke 27K tonight. Okay, so 7 plus 8 is 15. Carry the 1. 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 stays the same. That goes up to 2. So now we add the 1047 to the actual thing. 5. Carry the 1. 4, 5, 6. 27,665. That was not the button I wanted. We're at 27,665. Almost the isekai main character's rate. I'm not sure about that. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it. Like I'm getting words on paper. I'm definitely getting words on paper. And the story is coming together. I think we're moving at a pretty decent rate. We definitely got more than our 200 words in. And it did feel nice because now that I'm past that protesty part, I feel like I can write more fantasy kind of stuff. Fantastical, that's the word. Sorry about that. Yeah, so would help if I wrote, instead of day 53 twice, wrote day 54 on my notes. I hope this is as good a read. I hope this is a good, like, my primary hope is that when this is done, that this is actually a good read for my readers. That people actually enjoy it. Like, I know it's going, if I want to get this actually professionally edited, it is going to cost me out the nose. So I'm going to do my own edits first whenever I get done. And that's probably going to be, I'm probably going to keep the writing challenge up until I get to that point. And then it's going to be less about getting an extra 200 words on the page and more about getting actual, like, going back and actually editing. You know what I mean? Let's wind down for the night. Yeah, I'm hoping this turns out to be something people want to read. Maybe people will like it. Sorry about that. Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's really hard to say. Um, it's really hard to say. That's also true. Also, that makes me wonder. I wonder how long your average light novel is. How long are light novels? Because when you're talking about like novels being quite popular, I remember that light novels are really popular. All right, so average length of a light novel is 50,000 words, which is close to the minimum expected of a Western novel. I was just seeing here. Light novels land between 40,000 and 60,000 on average. Interesting, Nabiru. Short one, maybe 10 chapters could still get an anime, while something with 50 plus chapters may not. I think that has to do more with just reaching out to different demographics. Uh, but yeah, it's interesting. I just remembered that because suppose the kid from the last Dungeon Boonies moved to a starter town which only had 10 chapters when it got its anime. So um I was reading something, or I was watching this essay about light novels, and it was talking about the reason why the names it's not Isekai just fantasy, it still has only a few chapters. Okay. Um there's like apparently only one primary site for light novels to be released for like web release in Japan, And so a lot of the top, well, these for the top light novels, the best light, the most popular light novels are on like one site. And when you look on the site and you're searching, you just see the names of the things that of each story. So, and they were saying something like, I think that's why all the names are so descriptive of what they have, because the name has to tell the reader what's happening in the story blatantly. Oh, Blue, yeah, we're just winding down again. I got over, I cracked 27,000 words in my novel so far. But how are you doing, Blue? We were just chatting to wind down for the night. Busy with work and school and stuff? Study week was used to spend time with the family. Oh, okay. See, I realized that you probably meant to say girlfriend, but it said GGF, so my brain just said good game friend. I realize that's probably what you meant, Blue. Uh, hey, gaming can be a great relationship activity. That's fun. So, curious question I always ask people on the Monday night streams. What's your goal for the week? Do you have any creative projects you're working on, Blue? Anything that you are hoping to accomplish? Any hopes, dreams, or ambitions for the week to come? Not really for this week, just trying to survive, Blue? Just chilling? That's good. Sometimes it's nice to just have time to chill. Sometimes that's a good thing. Blue, you watch any good anime recently? Ah, I'd say tonight was pretty productive. We worked out a lot of ideas and got a lot of stuff done on the uh on the whatchamahoosit on the novel. Ah, well, I think now is as good a time as any to wind down for the night. I want to say thank you to everyone for coming through. I know Silva was here very briefly. Nabaru has been here faithfully throughout the entire thing. Blue just showed up, and then there was Jose who was here earlier in the stream as well. And anyone else that I might have missed, and anyone who watches the VOD. I want to say to all of you that I love each and every one of you, and that I am proud of all of you. I think you all are wonderful, capable, important, and precious. I believe that each and every one of you makes this world better just by being in it, and I am grateful to live in a world with you in it. I've heard about Bofuri. I've heard some that it's kind of goofy and an OP main character. I've been watching the new Gundam anime, Witch of Mercury. I saw No Game No Life when it was airing, actually. I watched it. I'm pretty sure I watched it as it was coming out. I was watching it on Crunchyroll at the time. There will never be a season 2. Anyway, I want to say that for all of you, please be sure to leave a comment about something that you enjoyed or ideas maybe for the next project or next part of my story or something you might want to see in a next stream. Be sure to leave that down in the comments. And you can share this with your friends if you think any of your friends might enjoy my content as well. Always looking for new people to join the community. Yeah, we don't touch interspecies reviewer here, Nabiru. We just don't. We don't touch the thing that's hentai, but pretending to not be hentai. I want to tell all of you that if you also want to keep up with what I'm doing, you can ding the notification bell so you know when I go live and are informed whenever I upload any new content. Subscribe and ding the notification bell in that order. And I already told you about liking and commenting. Liking helps it for the algorithm. Getting at least a little bit of algorithmic love wouldn't be terrible. And if you want to keep up with what I'm doing outside of my streams, between streams, since I do only stream 2 to 3 times a week, you can join my Discord, where I try to be pretty active. I use that mostly for running my tabletop role-playing games, and posting memes and announcing whenever I'm going live for people. Or also we use it for hosting anime night as well on Saturdays. And a short anime night on Thursdays. So you can join the Discord. There's a link for that in the description. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. I tend to be really active on Twitter. Like I might be getting addicted to Twitter. I might be. I have Twitter open right now. On my computer screen. You can't see it, but it's open. And you can follow me on Twitter. Link to that's also in the description. And if you ever feel motivated to, like, my content is always going to be free, but if you ever feel motivated to um if you ever feel motivated to give to improve my content or improve my life, there is a link, there are links where you can do that in the description. And when I say my content's always going to be free, I mean for now. I may produce like subscriber only or paid only or Patreon content at some point in the future. I reserve the right to change my position on that in the future. So nobody quote me on this one misspeak. Anyway, have a good night, everybody, and you are amazing.